Right. Okay. So from the name, you can tell the you can tell what the function does by seeing the name. So basically, it will find a genre using the string here that match the string here, or it will create one, right? Which means if that genre exists in our database, it will use that genre. If the genre doesn't exist, it will create a new one to and save it into the database. That's why you see two documents here in the genre collections, right? And the syntax here is very confusing. If you the first time you see it, so basically what I did here is this function will return a document, right? A document, an object, a document. And to call the function, to call an asynchronous function, we need to use await and async, right? And I create an array. So basically here I am creating an array of promises. Right? An array of a bunch of promises here. And I use syntax await dot promise dot on, and here's an array. And I'm going to put it here. Basically, I'm telling the object code to wait until every single promise in the array are reserved, meaning wait until all promises are reserved or rejected. Okay. And then when we have it, I just consolidate it or return it to the client. So here, so the syntax here is inside the function is very straightforward. So it will receive a string, use that string to find the document. If it cannot find anything, it will create a new one and then return. Very simple. So here we already have the array of object. Now we can assign here. So it's going to be full, full row here. So the name full doesn't make any sense to you. So I'm going to change this one to genre dot, right? So I'm going to call this one promise, genre promise. Right. Okay. Genre promises, which is an array. This one an array as well. So I'm going to remove the catalog here, and I will send the data to my database. I think Mongoose is smart enough. Yeah, actually Mongoose is smart enough to use the ID. So for example here, if you look at the schema or the model. Oh, not here. Sorry. I'm going to set this one. I will find the book model. Okay. The book model here, we say that, okay, this is an object ID, right? An object ID, not a whole document, just the object ID. Even though we say that, but here we put in the whole document, not just object ID. We send the whole documents, an array of the whole documents. But Mongoose is smart enough to just use the ID, to store the ID only. So let's see how it works. So the data will be book. And I'm going to save. And I will return this to the client. So here I'm going to create a new one. So it's going to be 5. Actually, 4. Not so sure, but let's go with 5 then. And this is going to be my 5th book. And I will use a different genres. I have like for kids or children. This one for adult. For children and adults. Okay, I'm going to send. Okay, that works, right? That works. You see the whole document instead of just the ID. Why? Because it's very special. Because this, we adding a new document. and that's why you see the whole document instead of just the ID. But in the database, they actually store only the IDs. Let's go to books, refresh, go to the last one, jump right here, an array of object ID, right? So this is how the database store the data, and this is how it returns to us. Cool, very cool. I like this. Right, so you have different IDs. Here, if you look at this ID and go to genre and then define ID will be object ID, create a string, define usage children, right? I'm gonna remove this. Okay, so it created two more genre for you, children and adult. So if I create one more Romans, and it's gonna be the sixth. Okay. So there we go. Refresh. You still have four, yeah, because they already exist in our database. But you also have a new document, new book, which is the sixth one. Okay. So we are done with that, but not yet. So now, if you read all the books, you see all the books here, but there's you only see the ID of the genre, not the whole document. Right? Only the ID. So in order to see the name of the genres, you also need to populate it here when you get. So populate. So the dot here, like I can dot multiple times here because I change the function. I change this one to the next one. It's very similar to the middleware here. And you should not have a semicolon. Semicolon here means you stop the whole function, the whole statement. So you should not have that. So here I want to populate the which field, the genres, right? Okay, let's go. Then, so now you see the genres with the name. That's cool. It's very convenient. Right, so that's pretty much it for the genres. Where am I? Sorry, I'm lost. So here I'm going to copy the code and paste the code here. So for a new book, I'm going to paste it here. Say create book. Paste the code. And also this one is going to be, I'm going to send you this function as well. Sorry, this one has to be model for genre. The model, the genre model. This. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. Sample request, sample response. Change one. Right. Sorry, I need to change one. Right? For example, this. Okay, there we go. Okay, do you have any questions? sleepy. Uh, wow. Okay. Uh, okay, the code is on GitHub. Right. So that's for adding and reading. So how about updating? How about updating? Ta-da! So how do you want to update? Now, updating is how, for example, if you want to update the genres, if you want to update the genres, right? Updating the new genres, ta-da! There are actually two ways to do it. So let's go to the notes here. So updating, owner. Usually you don't allow user to update the owner of the book, right? Because we use the current user ID. So whoever rating the book will be the owner. So the user doesn't have any option to change that item. The author, yes, the owner can change the author. So to change the owner, the author just replace with a new object. Same thing for updating genres. So for updating genre, you have two options. It could be deleting, deleting. You have an array here. We have an array here. You can remove one by one. So for example, on the front end, on the UI, people click on the X button next to the this genre here. He can remove this genre, that genre only. Or yeah, sure. And if you want to add more genre, you can just push the new genre. That is hard. It's very good for UX, but it's very hard to do. So you can do another way. We can use a totally new array and then override the array to our database. Okay. So we can create. I'm gonna quickly create a function for you. For example, if you want to update a book here, you also need for that login require login login requirement. I forgot. Why do I name it capital? Oh god. Guys, you should name the function in lowercase, not uppercase here. That's bad. I don't know why I named it like that. Okay. So you name it login require. All right. Here you need to make sure uh, we is concentrating. Okay. Just one more function, and then I will leave you guys after this. All right. So to update a new a book, you need to make sure that the current user is actually the owner of the book. Right? What I mean is like you need to make sure that the current user is the owner of the book. So you can do something like this. To make sure the owner is the user is the owner of the book, how do you do that? You can find a book. Why do I have this? You can find a book. You can find by the end of day, right? You change this one back to find one and update instead of find by ID because you want more condition, not just the ID. ID is just one condition. ID is just one condition, the ID. There's another condition which is the owner of the book. So the owner has a available user ID. S dot user ID. Sorry guys, I need to quickly go outside. Okay, I will see you later. Give me 3 minutes. Sorry. Okay, here we go. So instead of using hello guys, 3 more minutes. Instead of find by ID and update, we change to find one and update because we want to add one more condition to make sure that this document is actually belong to the current user. So we have one more field, owner and request of user ID. And if you want to you have user ID here, we need to validate the user, authenticate the user by using login require middleware. And the body is whatever the front end send. So now we want to allow more fields. For example, we want to allow genres and author. Genre and author. Okay, there we go. Okay, and then we update and return the new value. That's it. I'm going to save. But in this case, the genre array here is still an array of string. For example, I'm going to copy when I create a new book. I'm going to copy this. I have the ID, right? I have the book ID. I want to update that book. Here, I want to update that book. And I want to change, sorry, not this. Okay. I want to change that to 7. And the title or description, Actually, you cannot change the title. Sorry, we don't allow to change the title. So this should be 6, right? But I changed it, and I also changed the author to Wing and genre instead of romance and adult. I want to say romance and love or something. Okay. Okay. So here the genre is still an array of string. So we need to repeat the logic here, right? So I'm going to copy and paste to make it short. You can make it a kind of like a middleware, or you can make it a function inside the model genre if you want. But for now, I'm just simply copy and paste these 2 lines and put it out here. So it's going to be request.genre. So we need to check it first, right? So request.genre. Okay, here we go. So what if the user doesn't provide the request.genre then? Request.body.genre. So we need to check if request.body.genre with S and request.body.genre length is greater than 1 and then 0, right? It's greater than 0, then we do this. Else we just skip it. So if the block here, else the block here. Okay. And instead of const here, I'm going to use let general dot outside and then reassign it. Right. Okay, there we go. And then, as you know, just request dot. We can use the same. Sorry, we can use the same variable. We don't need to create a new one. Sorry, that was bad. Request dot body dot generals. We reassign the value, and then finally we're done. Right, that's it. Okay, let's test it. Okay. So I want to change to romance and love instead of, what was it? Romance and adult. So I changed it to love. Right, something wrong. Error. Oh, it's not error. I didn't say start a server. In run dev. Okay, now we can try again. Okay, that's worked. Okay, there's the reason why you don't see the populated object here is it actually getting the new result. When there's a new result, is there's no populating. So you may need to populate it if you want. Else you just check it in the Postman. So here I expect to see different ID. I expect to see different ID. Right now it's 66 and AA, right? I'm going to refresh, and it become different. Me too. So basically, it's a different genre now. So you can check it. There you go, Roman and love. So you will have one more. Yeah, there you go. So that's pretty much it for updating. Right, I will leave you guys the code, and you can read on that. And if you have questions, just ask us on Discord. I know you guys are practicing the interviews. Okay, I'm gonna stop this one. Discuss, adding, updating, generals. Oops. What's the name of the Git remote? So here's the link. Lab, sorry, my brain lag. Right, so that's it. If you guys want to practice on the interviews, okay. Oh, remember to prepare the portfolio and your CV as well. Okay. See you guys later. Oh. So stop.